From our studios in Scottsdale, Arizona, this is Retirement News Online. So Congress has passed its next major spending bill. This legislation, called the One Big Beautiful Bill, would lower some taxes, change funding for various federal programs, raise the debt ceiling, and change many other parts of the federal government with the goal of aligning with the Trump administration's priorities. Joining me is Steve Caruso. He is president and founder of Laurel Wealth Solutions. So Steve specializes in retirement distribution planning for consumers, and also he works in the federal space with federal employees. So, Steve, let's talk about the new senior deduction impact on Social Security. There's this idea that, taxes are just being eliminated completely, but they actually are. Less people are going to be paying taxes. How does this affect seniors?
Oh, it has a pretty tremendous impact on the majority of people 65 and older, which was the goal, because they couldn't necessarily eliminate the tax on Social Security. So what they did was they gave seniors an extra deduction. So if you're older than 65 and you are below a certain income threshold, you get an extra $6,000 deduction. So a married couple, potentially both 65 or older, could get $12,000. And so that changes the calculus on planning for, especially if you're looking at things like Roth conversions and other things of that nature.
And so the deduction kind of phases out at certain income levels now. So how does this affect certain other income sources like pensions, things like annuities, the RMD question, which is a big tax question? How is all that affected?
So the deduction is temporary. So it's from 2025 through 2028. So you want to be cognizant of your strategies, because if you go over the income threshold, you're losing that $6,000 extra deduction. So if you're doing things like Roth conversions, if you convert too much, it could put you over the threshold. So it's kind of a delicate balancing act in the sense that you need to weigh the future tax liability that you're trying to save with the Roth conversion against the current temporary tax deduction. So if you have enough distance to retirement, or to minimum distribution age, rather, you might probably already be retired, right? But the $6,000 for the next 4 years, maybe you want to go right up to the top of the income threshold to retain that deduction with your Roth conversions, and then convert more in 2029 and beyond before you get to minimum distribution age.
And so the bill also mentions potential changes to RMD rules. Obviously now people start taking RMDs at 73. They don't realize how they go up every year. But how does this affect planning around withdrawals around IRAs, 401ks, Roth conversions, and things like that? How should people approach that?
Well, one of the big things with Roth conversions is that obviously you're paying the tax now when you know what the tax liability is going to be. We have no idea what the tax liability is going to be in 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, right? Because our tax brackets are incremental. Mm-hmm. Right now it may not feel that way, but we're historically at low tax brackets. So if you can take advantage of that now while taxes are on sale, why not do that?
Yeah, so a Roth conversion could make more sense now for somebody because the tax liability is much less than
Correct.
It could be. Is it necessary then to adjust Roth conversions, charitable giving, or income, timing to maximize the benefits of the bill? Because the bill, for many people, it's kind of confusing, right? Especially for the consumer. I've even talked to some advisors who aren't really sure what it's doing, but thankfully you're an expert. Talk about that.
Well, yeah, so the big thing that I don't think a lot of advisors are talking about, but that really impacts high net worth people, is the changes to charitable deductions. So if you were planning on doing some charitable giving over the next several years, you might want to front load it this year, because starting next year, there's a floor where you can only have 0.5% of your modified adjusted gross income, which basically the whole impact, that coupled with the fact that they're changing they're capping basically the amount. So if you're in the 37% tax bracket, you can basically only use itemized deductions to get you down to the 35% tax bracket using charities. This year, you can still get yourself much lower by using those charitable deductions. So if you're not doing that, or if your advisor is not talking to you about that, that's something that you definitely should be considering this year before it's too late. Obviously, we only have a few more months in the year.
And now the tax sunset has been pushed out a couple of years. It was supposed to be next year, but now it's 2028. What does that mean for long-term planning? I mean, because that changes the horizon a little bit.
Oh yeah, it absolutely changes the horizon because it's right now that was going to sunset. It's $15 million. Now it's going to be $15 million. It's permanent. It's indexed to inflation. So unless you're over $30 million, if you're a married couple, you have a lot of wiggle room to get around federal estate tax. Now, state by state, those estate tax laws might be different.
Okay. He is Steve Caruso. He is the founder and president of Laurel Wealth Solutions. This is Retirement News Online. Thanks for watching.